Back when a man wasn't yet ready to call himself an ape, people angrily threw up their hands in discontent. While inside the schools they were just learning the truth, a man came screaming and running out of the tent. I've discovered everything that is new and you'll see, though all the learned ones knew better and just scoffed. But you can't say anything about what I've found when you spend all your extra time hanging out in the loft. But I never figured out the appeal. Maybe it was a mistake of youth. Nebraska Man, are you even real? Did they ever find your tooth? If you stand up there and say you know everything, there's no problem. That all the lab coats are engaged in some sort of cabal. And only I, with my charts and graphs, know more than you. I figured it all out because I got all my answers from Paul. If you like that, then you'll be shocked to learn that in this very town, they're trying to engage you in godless philosophy and instruction, and turn you into gears that can be fit to a clock. According to my magic title, all of this will lead to your destruction. If you can cobble together a nice meal, you'll be society's master sleuth. Nebraska Man, are you even real? Did they ever find your tooth? The judge wanted to gain back control, but the man was too busy yelling and gesturing at everybody's wives. The whole thing was shredding in thin red lines, and the woman at the typewriter was losing her archives. The evidence all pointed to the corruption of us all, while the speeches came in with no real basis. And all their excuses serve only one purpose: to trick you into selling everything for an imaginary oasis. If you keep showing the newsreel, people will think that's the gospel truth. Nebraska Man, are you even real? Did they ever find your tooth? When the boring counter-arguments were finished, he started talking about how humanity is blown into holes. Of course, he'd cribbed these ideas from some others. He thought he'd done enough to get people at the polls. The government got confused and tripped over itself, and the judge wanted to just cancel the whole thing because he had something else going on in his oven and wished he could pass it over to some kind of king. If you keep fighting for repeal, you'll be shoved in a booth. Nebraska Man, are you even real? Did they ever find your tooth? Everything had begun to grind into a halt, and the crowds outside's care began to wane, because they realized the answers almost didn't matter. The man's lawyer suggested they try to run to Spain. I've never done anything in my life, claimed the man. That's the problem, said the lawyer. Please don't repeat that. But I'll bring in a new species to show off to the jury. And when he brought it, the judge said, that's a rat. And it's cinema of orange and teal. Everywhere you see Beelzebub. Nebraska Man, are you even real? Did they ever find your tooth? Once upon a time, the world was covered by hot water. Giant men poked their heads out of homemade caves. The man with the form started counting all their trees. But you don't have to give your stuff if your child behaves. One of the jurors began to complain rather loudly that he'd heard all this junk when he was old. When the judge pointed at him and told him to stop, the juror said, oh, I can't possibly be cajoled. You keep saying every knee will kneel, but I don't know what makes you the sooth. Nebraska Man, are you even real? Did they ever find your tooth? As the country went to war and lost all its money, the man on trial refused to pay half a cent. I haven't progressed that far to where I can use currency, but I can take donations from those willing to repent. I object to myself because I've had a lot of experience, and once watched a lower mammal pilot a jet aircraft. And I could see that you'd like everything that way. If I didn't know better, I'd say you wanted to reinstate the draft. He spoke with so much zeal. I didn't want to be uncouth. Nebraska Man, are you even real? Did they ever find your tooth? The defense lawyer flipped sides and said, I give up. I would like to be associated with regular society. But the tattoos betrayed his civility and poked out of his suit. The typist was crawling on the floor looking for the apostrophe. The man tried to speak again, but was shouted down. All the people had grown much too tired of his crockery. The judge said, I've at last made my decision, and now it's final. History sentences you to obscurity and permanent mockery. I wonder if you'll ever heal. You really drank too much vermouth. Nebraska Man, are you even real? Did they ever find your tooth?